What's the point? Where do they come from? And what sort of impact are they having on our environment?
I brought you flowers.
Wallflower, won't you dance with me?
Well, as it turns out, 93% of these flowers are imported. And on Valentine's Day alone, over 100 million flowers are produced, shipped and consumed, producing over 9,000 tons of carbon dioxide. This is the equivalent to consuming 20,000 barrels of oil. With a typical growing cycle lasting 8 to 12 weeks, this could get repeated at least 3 more times annually. This is before we even consider flowers grown under greenhouse conditions, which can produce up to 6 times this amount. We also need to take into account the water footprint. Just one rose plant consumes 7 to 13 litres, and annually there are 5.6 billion cut flower stems purchased. Averaging this out, that's about 50 billion litres of water a year. So where does all this consumption come from? Well, the life cycle of a bouquet can be broken down into 2 main systems: growing and transportation. It is these systems we need to design more efficiently to create a sustainable product. So what's being done? Well, much like the food industry, there's a push to buy from local suppliers, negating the carbon effects of mass transportation. However, the equation isn't always that simple. To satisfy the demands of consumers, non-local flowers are being grown in the wrong conditions, working against natural forces, requiring greater energy in the form of greenhouses and creating a larger overall environmental footprint, and that's just not on. We also need to consider the social impact of reducing our consumption of overseas flowers in countries like Ecuador, where flower consumptions can make up to 10% of their GDP, providing livelihoods for thousands of people. So we need to look elsewhere for solutions, and I believe that solution is in designing better systems. So, to overcome this, we need to look at the example set by Books, the Uber Eats of the flower world. So Books have engineered a digital solution to the classic supply and demand model, where currently flowers are supplied to a demand, operate by receiving orders and then cutting and supplying the flowers, putting them closer to the sweet spot. This not only cuts the environmental footprint by reducing the oversupply, but also drops transport wastage from 20% to 2%. A greater focus also needs to be switched to the ecological principle of site-specific design. This is utilising our natural environment to design systems that work with natural processes, not against them. By incorporating this design, we can shift focus onto designing a system that takes into account the environment and the seasons, working with these factors to create a range of flowers that not only reduce water, but the energy input required. If you keep reading below, you'll see I talk about coffee and how they've been incorporating the ecological design principles from farm to cup, and how they are benefiting in an environmental, social and economical way. It's time for flowers to catch up. Let's take the thorn out of the side of the flower industry and design with the world, not against it.
Every rose has its thorn.